well, they was something until Crawford fought him. So obviously he's doing a great job because he's making everybody look normal.
Apparently no rehydration clause, am I hearing that right? He wants full smoke at that weight.
Let's go, man. That's what Crawford wants. He wants to show the world that he's the best. So, and why put stipulations in there when you know that you can be the best?
I can totally see Crawford outboxing Canelo, like bad, making him look like taking him straight to school. But again, I do not see Crawford stopping Canelo. I don't see him knocking him out. I don't see any of that. I do see Crawford taking him to 12.
Crawford has enlisted Floyd Mayweather Jr. for sparring sessions to secure victory against Canelo, a move that speaks volumes about his level of preparation. Mayweather revealed that he's helping Crawford get ready for Canelo's defensive brilliance and ring IQ. The partnership is deeply symbolic. Mayweather was the first man to decisively dethrone Canelo back in 2013. Now, 12 years later, he's helping Crawford write what could be the final chapter of the Mexican superstar's reign. According to Crawford's camp, this collaboration will sharpen his timing, improve his ability to adjust on the fly, tighten his footwork, and prepare him for the type of ring generalship he'll face against a fighter who's been dominating bigger men at 168 pounds for years.
Along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments just off of pure hate. So what would they be able to say with me going up 2 weight classes? If Canelo become undisputed again and I beat Canelo, what could they say?
Crawford's camp is a blend of science and intensity. He has already started high-level sparring with both Mayweather and Lester Martinez, Guatemala's undefeated knockout artist. Martinez, a full-size super middleweight with real power, is an ideal replica of Canelo's size and strength. Crawford's team isn't leaving anything to chance. They've brought in partners who can truly push him, fighters who can unleash the kind of explosive volume Crawford rarely faced at welterweight. It's all part of a bigger plan. Simulate everything Canelo brings to the table: power, pressure, timing, and relentless bodywork, and then figure out how to dismantle it.
Combinations and a very strong fighter. You know, facing him off, he's actually the taller man. So I'm leaning towards Crawford now. I switched my opinion. I think Canelo looked too slow, too flat-footed. One punch at a time. I don't think that's going to be enough for him to beat Crawford. Crawford's too fast, too strong.
Crawford appears sharp in the minimal training film he has released to the public, throwing precise jabs, altering his combos, and fluidly swapping stances. What stands out is the dramatic growth in his size. For a man who campaigned at 147 for so long and is now gunning for 168, the increased bulk is difficult to ignore. For some, it's a red flag. Will he be slower? Has he exchanged?
Do you think you're going to stop Canelo Alvarez?
I don't gotta stop him. I just gotta beat him. I'm not going in there looking to knock Canelo out. Could it happen? Yes, absolutely. When I look at Canelo, he's a smaller, bigger guy moving up in divisions. Being that these big guys are slower, so they might catch him with something, but he might see it as...
Others believe it's a smart move. Crawford's maintaining his trademark sharpness while adding the frame to absorb Canelo's big shots. Social media reactions, however, were surprisingly mixed. Some fans praised Crawford's clean and fluid look despite the added weight. Sharp as hell. One commented he moved up, gained power, and kept his speed. Others, though, were skeptical, voicing concerns that the extra mass might slow him down or sap the explosiveness that's carried him to the top of the pound-for-pound rankings.
Then I started sizing him up, and I'm like, all right, well, Canelo 5'7", my arm's longer.
Yeah.
He's strong, I'm strong.
Right.
It'd be, to me, skill for skill.
Right.
Because Canelo not the biggest 168 fighter. So, I just started looking into it, and I'm like...
But the jump to a bigger weight class isn't just physical, it's psychological. And Crawford, ever the technician, seems completely unfazed by the magnitude of the lead. I'm the type of guy who likes to feel my opponents out and adjust to what they're doing, he explained when asked about the move up. I think that's my greatest attribute, the ability to figure out every opponent I've faced. That approach, that confidence, and his adaptability have become Crawford's signature. He doesn't steamroll opponents with sheer power. He breaks them down. He studies in real time, then dismantles them piece by piece. Against Canelo, a fighter who's built his career on walking opponents down, Crawford's mission will be to disrupt the rhythm, pivot off angles, and choke off Canelo's forward momentum.
On his part, and then you get to see Canelo and see if he's able to maintain the 168-pound division. You know, he's been there for quite some time, and we've seen Canelo go up to 75 to fight Bivol. It didn't look too well for him, you know, but we'll see. I think it's a great matchup. Obviously, Canelo has to do his part in winning and collecting another belt to become undisputed once again in that weight class against William Skull. So it's a great matchup. I think that is definitely eye-pleasing for the crowd.
And this goes beyond training. The stakes couldn't be higher. It's not just about profits, it's about boxing's future. Turki Alalshik, the Saudi advisor responsible for several of the sport's recent mega events, called the upcoming clash the biggest fight in boxing history in the last decade, if not more. And he's not exaggerating. This is far more than a title bout. It's a pound-for-pound showdown, a legacy-defining moment for two of boxing's most formidable figures. Alalshik announced the fight with pride, praising both fighters and the partnership with Netflix, as well as Eddie Hearn and the entire machine that made this event possible. Crawford vs. Canelo is being billed as the one, and it carries all that weight. Even the branding nods to Canelo's 2013 showdown with Floyd Mayweather. But this time, Canelo stands as the seasoned king defending his throne, while Crawford seeks to etch his name into the history books of greatness.
Terence asked you to help him for Canelo, would you?
Если Canelo тебя попросит помочь в спаррингах, ты согласишься?
Yes, yeah, because I needed more practice for my next fight. If he's calm, no problem.
You think Terence can beat Canelo?
If 12 rounds.
The entire production is designed for a global spectacle. Netflix will broadcast the fight, delivering it to more than 300 million subscribers worldwide. This move to a streaming platform, especially after Netflix's massive success with Jake Paul vs. Mike Tyson, marks a major shift in how boxing's biggest nights are packaged and consumed. That event alone pulled in an astonishing 108 million viewers for the main event. Crawford vs. Canelo, with its higher stakes and wider appeal, could easily surpass that number, attracting everyone from hardcore fight fans to casual viewers across the globe. To fuel the anticipation, a three-city press tour kicks off on June 20th, hitting Riyadh, New York, and Las Vegas. Each stop is crafted like an old-school blockbuster promotion designed to build hype, dominate headlines, and keep the conversation burning.
Alvarez versus Terence Crawford has a venue and has a streaming platform. The fight will be in Las Vegas, and Netflix will be streaming this fight. Now, I have high hopes for Netflix because, like we saw Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, a lot of buffering. I don't think Netflix will make that same mistake again, because this is the biggest fight in boxing since Pacquiao and Mayweather. And if Netflix can provide no lagginess, no buffering throughout the whole event, Netflix is going to be very respectable.
And Canelo isn't treating this as just another title defense. This is personal. Fresh off reclaiming the IBF belt by defeating William Skull in Saudi Arabia, Canelo now sits atop the super middleweight throne with all for major belts at 168 pounds. Crawford was ringside that night, studying every move, and the tension between them was undeniable even before the post-fight altercation that sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Canelo wasted no time reasserting his dominance, firing a sharp message to both fans and Crawford. He's a fantastic boxer, Canelo said, but he's not Canelo. On September 13th in Las Vegas, I'll remind the world who rules this era. But Crawford isn't coming to 168 just to compete, he's coming to conquer. And Canelo knows it.
About Terence Crawford, do you think he'll add to your legacy, the fight
yeah,
with Crawford?
Yeah, he's a really good fighter. 2 times undisputed champion. He accomplished so much. So can add a lot to my.
This fight also marks SUFA Boxing's long-awaited global debut under Dana White. His much-rumored entry into the sweet science, combined with Saudi Arabia's promotional power and Netflix's worldwide streaming reach, makes this one of the most financially ambitious boxing events in recent memory. But it's about more than just who wins inside the ring. It's a battle for control over the future of the sport itself. The magnitude of that power shift cannot be ignored.
Seen the Las Vegas? Yeah, ever. This is one of the biggest fights ever. And obviously I'm honored to be promoting, but yes, when they say we're promoting it, I'm doing the promotion, we're doing the production, the event ops, PR, I mean, everything to do with the fight, just like a UFC fight, while at the same time promoting UFC Noche. So it'll all be the same weekend. It's a badass weekend of fight.
Crawford is moving up 14 pounds since his last outing win over Israel Madrimov. That's a massive leap for a fighter who mastered his craft at 147, while he recently tested the waters at 154. The 168-pound battlefield is Canelo's kingdom, where he's dismantled bigger men like Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders. For Crawford, the challenge is layered. Match Canelo's physicality without losing his trademark precision, absorb those crushing body shots without going static, and impose his strategy before Canelo dictates the pace.
A good little man has never beaten a good big man in the history of the game, unless you go back to certain situations with Pacquiao beat me, but I was a dead man walking anyway. But a good little man never beats a good big man, so it's a tough test for Crawford, but I'm not counting him out. The bottom line, and this is the truth again, it's a money grab. That's it. Yeah.
Crawford's versatility is his greatest weapon. He never enters with a rigid game plan. Instead, he studies, absorbs, and adapts. We'll find out on fight night what my advantage is, he remarked. That's not an empty statement, it reveals how he operates. He never reveals his full hand until the moment is right. That's how he dismantled Errol Spence. That's how he neutralized Sean Porter. And that's likely how he'll approach Canelo, not by trying to win every round, but by waiting for the precise moment only he can spot, then striking with surgical precision.
Give Canelo a real problem now. I think early on you could see, he's a mover and he's obviously a very good boxer. I think to start with, when he's throwing his jab, it was falling short. They weren't emphatic punches, and I think as it slowed down, it was then connecting. He was catching. It makes that Crawford fight, I think, more an intriguing fight. I always say a good big and beat a good little one, and he's got to give a lot of weight away, Crawford, but he could give Canelo a real problem now because Canelo was getting caught.
Watching that, do you think Crawford might be...
As Manny Pacquiao steps back into the boxing spotlight to prepare for his own return, the Hall of Famer didn't waste time weighing in on the year's most debated matchup. Pacquiao delivered a calm yet pointed message for Terence Crawford: speed, style, and strength. That's what it will take to beat Canelo Alvarez, coming from a man who once danced through divisions, flattening champions with quick feet and quicker hands. This advice doesn't sound generic. It sounds lived. Pacquiao knows what it takes. It's hardly the most obvious forecast in a fight like this. Canelo has faced elite movers before. Floyd Mayweather outboxed him clean, and Dimitri Bivol dismantled him with meticulous footwork. But since then, Canelo has adapted, learning how to cut off the ring and forcing slick fighters like Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders to wilt under relentless pressure. Pacquiao is aware of that, yet he sees something different in Crawford, a man who not only punches with startling sharpness, but also switches stances seamlessly. Crawford's ability to disguise shots and read opponents like a chessboard proves that mid-fight speed and power aren't mutually exclusive. That's why Pacquiao leans on that trio: speed, style, and strength, as if to say, bring all three or don't come at all.
It's a stylistic matchup, and Williams Cole don't fight nothing like Terence Crawford. So we're not going to see the same type of fight come September. I think we're going to see a great fight, real good fight.
You and Terence have always had like a good relationship, but if he makes Canelo come off the titles, is he on your radar then in the division?
Yeah, all the top super middleweights are on my radar. I want to face the best. And, a lot of fighters say that, but I don't feel like a lot of them have shown and proved that. I feel like I've shown and proved that, so...
Then there's Sean Porter, a man who knows Crawford's punches not from observation, but from experience. Porter gave Crawford one of his toughest recent fights, and in doing so, gained something most of Crawford's opponents never get: enough ring time to analyze him before succumbing. Porter, who had never been stopped until Crawford halted him, offers a clear gauge of how Crawford's power truly works. It's not instant, it accumulates. It's not about one devastating shot, but about precision, timing, and the ability to strike from unpredictable angles. Crawford didn't stop Porter because he was overwhelmingly strong. He stopped him because he landed clean, consistent shots that eventually took their toll. That's why Porter's insight is so intriguing and controversial. He believes that while Crawford's one-punch power may not carry the same effect at 168 pounds, his combinations will still find Canelo. And once they do, it becomes a question of when, not if, they start slowing the Mexican down. According to Porter, Fans should not fixate on knockout power. Crawford's strength doesn't need to match Canelo's brute force. It comes from attrition, forcing Canelo to fight every second of every round, responding not to massive blows, but to a symphony of combinations that test his rhythm, endurance, and patience. Porter even says he'd bet his last dime on Crawford not out of sentiment, but strategy. He's seen what happens when you give Crawford time to settle into his rhythm. He doesn't miss twice.
I'm gonna pick Crawford to win this fight. Crawford is very talented, great footwork, great combinations, and a very strong fighter. You know, facing him off, he's actually the taller man. So I'm leaning towards Crawford now. I switched my opinion. I think Canelo looked too slow, too flat-footed. One punch at a time. I don't think that's gonna be enough for him to beat Crawford. Crawford's too fast, too strong.
However, not everyone agrees with how this fight is being framed. Critics argue that while Pacquiao's and Porter's advice is valuable, it overlooks a harsh reality. Crawford is jumping to weight divisions 21 pounds heavier than when he dismantled Errol Spence Jr. No matter how sharp his skills, size and strength can become decisive when fatigue sets in. Just ask Amir Khan, who faced both men and suffered brutal knockouts. Canelo crushed Khan with a single right hand in the 6th round of their 2016 middleweight title fight. Years later, Crawford stopped Khan with surgical precision, rather than sheer force. Khan, one of the few fighters who has shared the ring with both, admits Canelo hits significantly harder. That's undeniable, but he also offers a nuanced warning. Crawford's lack of raw power doesn't make him harmless. His danger lies in disguise. His punches don't look heavy until they land. There's no wind-up, no tell, just crisp, stinging shots from odd angles, hitting targets fighters aren't ready to defend. Khan insists that while Canelo likely won't be flattened by a single shot, Crawford can still hurt him by disrupting rhythm, forcing hesitation, and making him uncomfortable. It's a bold claim considering Canelo's granite chin, but history backs it up. Dimitri Bivol, a natural light heavyweight, never dropped Canelo, but dominated by outworking him, outjabbing him, and moving with surgical precision. If Crawford can carry his speed and mobility to 168, he could replicate that blueprint with even more wrinkles, switch hitting, lateral movement, and blistering flurries.